hates the world. She is dramatic. But welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name Raya. Do you see this dog, guys? Do you see? Anywho. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Angela and I share all things VSG and bariatrics content. What do I do here? Okay, so just to share with you guys a little bit about me, I am 25 years old. I am an Aquarius. My full name is Josephineangela, and before I got my VSG, I was 248 pounds. I would weigh anywhere between 248, 245 to like 250. I have lost about 87 pounds because I now weigh 161 pounds. So I want to go ahead and share with you guys a little bit of a story time about why I ended up getting into the surgery and a little bit about my life growing up. So in high school, I was very active, but I've always been a chubbier, bigger girl. So even when I did play sports and I was very active, I was still pretty chubby. Living with being a big girl already, it wasn't hard gaining so much weight because I didn't notice that I would gain so much weight. But when I was about 16, I was put on birth control for hormonal acne. And then I did the Depo shot along with the Nexplanon. And that is where my weight gain began. I was probably about 16 to like 21 years old when I had my birth control. And then actually until I was 22, I was on birth control. So then I also had the IUD, and the IUD was a non-hormonal, but I was still gaining weight. So that was pretty difficult for me too. And it was probably not from the IUD since it was non-hormonal, but I got to my biggest when I was about 21 years old. I reached 252 pounds, and I had been thinking about getting the VSG or weight loss surgery for a really long time. I just never had the health coverage for it. So with my job, I did, but the insurance coverage that I had was very minimal, so I would have had to pay a lot of money out of pocket. At that time, I was living by myself, so I lived by myself for a little bit, and before that, I was living with my ex-boyfriend, and I don't know, like something in my heart just kept telling me not to get the surgery. I couldn't get it. Money was also one of the biggest reasons why I couldn't get the surgery as well. I ended up just living my normal life, working all the time. I undergone a lot of stress at my job. So I worked at T-Mobile and I was a sales manager. So there was a lot of stress that comes with that job. Also with the money as you make as a sales manager, you can make enough to eat whatever you want, like you can do whatever you want. So honestly, that pay was really good, which allowed me to constantly eat and give into my eating habits and all of that stuff, which is not good at all. That's where my bad habits and my relationship with food was not the best. It was when I was about 19 to like 21. Now, backtracking to when I was about, I want to say 17 to 19, it was a very traumatic time in my life, so I can't remember too much, but at that time I was living with my ex-boyfriend, and my weight was a very huge thing within our relationship. One of the things was him always telling me like that I need to go to the gym, that I need to eat healthier. He was very like toxic with me, like check out other women that were really, really beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong, they were beautiful people. He would constantly check them out, and it just honestly, it lowered my self-esteem a lot. And I'm the type of person, when negativity comes in, I allow it to come in rather than repelling it. So I used to be the type of person who would let all this bad negative energy, I would allow that to affect me in bad ways. So instead of doing something about it, I constantly had this mindset like, okay, well, why would I ever change for this person? Why am I going to lose weight for this person? That I feel was one of the biggest reasons also why I never got to move into the surgery. When I was about 17 years old, I got liposuction. I believe it was like Pacific Lipo. When you're 17 and a half, you are basically able to make the decisions yourself without a parent or guardian. I chose to get liposuction. Unfortunately, my experience with liposuction was not good. It definitely deformed my stomach, and there are fat in places that fat shouldn't be, and then there's like dents in places they shouldn't be. You know, it made me realize, like, again, why did I do this for one person, right? Long story short, never change your body, and make sure that you decide to do the VSG for good reason. Obviously, if you want to look good and that is your goal, then, you know, do that, but do it for your health and do it for the outcome of getting the surgery and the lifestyle changes and all of that. Do it for the health benefits. At least that's why I did it. Being overweight was really hard for me. I do have severe PCOS. I was pre-diabetic and obstructive sleep apnea. So I would stop breathing constantly in the middle of the night, as my husband would say. Now, fast forward to me being 22, so about 3 years ago, I met the love of my life, and he loved me at my worst. So he loved me for how big I was. He loved me for like my personality, which was super amazing. It was a very positive energy that was always coming into my life, and I worked really hard before meeting him. I was constantly working all day, every single day. Sales was one of my strongest suits, and so my husband had met me when I was about 239 or 240 pounds. He loved me for me, which was super great. We ended up getting married, and we also ended up getting pregnant. When I had gotten pregnant, I reached 13 weeks, and unfortunately we did not have our children, which was a very long and difficult time and very traumatic time for both of us, as we both would have been first-time parents without like having huge role models like in our lives. Like, I don't have my parents, and his mom is a single mom, and so we didn't really get to prepare ourselves, right? As we did, we did prepare our life for our kids. During my miscarriage, we do find out that they were triplets. So it was really difficult. After that time, I went into a very deep depression. Me and my husband were constantly eating, filling the void with food, because food was just comfort for us. That was like what we based our whole relationship on, was constantly going out to eat dinner, or we would go and try out like a new loaded fries place or milkshakes, or not good habits when it came to eating food. We constantly ate out, and it was to the point where both him and I gained a lot of weight, and that kind of continued for about until like before my surgery. So I was constantly eating and constantly going out, making big portion meals. It was just a nightmare. I ended up going to the hospital multiple times just for like different illnesses, not feeling well, depression, just a lot of that stuff. One day I consulted my doctor about getting the VSG. My doctor sent me to a nutritionist, and then I went to a seminar, and then I decided that I wanted to move forward. So they did have to make sure that I was an eligible candidate. Now, in order to be an eligible candidate, you either needed to be morbidly obese. That means, I believe, 100 pounds overweight. So you either had to have that and one underlying disease or condition, or you had to have like a BMI higher than 40 or like higher than 38 or something like that. Every experience with getting the surgery is very different, just because most medical providers have different requirements. So what I will be going over is a little bit of the process and how I ended up going into getting the surgery. So once you do go into those seminars and they do find you as an eligible patient, they give you a list of requirements of things that you need completed, whether it's dental work, because you don't have any issues with your teeth, which can cause cardiovascular issues or heart disease. So you do go in to check with a dental provider. And then I also went in to get my physical. Along with that, I ended up having to complete courses. Now, what that means is you go into either a seminar or you do remote, and they teach you a lot about the surgery, what's included in the surgery, what happens if you don't intake protein. Basically, they educate you on everything you need to know prior to getting the VSG. Now, once you've done that, prior to meeting with the surgeon, you do also go through psychotherapy. Basically, you need to get cleared to get the surgery. So they need to make sure that you don't have any mental issues that can like inflict pain on you, or it can cause you to have like bad habits or anything like narcissism, sociopathic, psychological stuff. I don't know what they like actually determine, but basically go in and they clear you for psychotherapy to make sure that everything is good up here, because the biggest thing about the surgery is not really like your eating habits and all that stuff. Yeah, that is also very important, but the mental aspect of getting the surgery it's difficult even after. So even post-op, being 5 months, almost 6 months post-op, the mental battles that you experience, extremely difficult to deal with. And so you go through psychotherapy to make sure that you are able to handle that situation, that you're able to deal with your relationship with food and how to deal with all that stuff. Even after getting the surgery and being through post-op, it is always recommended to still meet with a therapist and a counselor, just to make sure that your health and your mental health is on track. So once that ended up happening and I got cleared for psycho, I met with my surgeon one more time. He's like, okay, so we're going to set a surgery date for you. He checks my stomach, makes sure physically that I'm okay for him to do surgery on. Now, this is one of the most crucial parts, is losing the weight before surgery. Lose the weight before surgery. This is going to be one of the most difficult things if you have not prepared yourself mentally for getting this surgery. Before you go and you get the surgery, you need to do a liquid diet. And the liquid diet lasts for about, I believe it was 16 to 20 days. It's not fully liquid, but it's like liquid things such as like cream of wheat or soups without like the meat, because your goal is to lose at least 10 pounds prior to getting surgery. This is strictly a very serious and difficult time, because they can turn you away the day of your surgery date. They can literally reschedule you or cancel your surgery if they check you and they're like, you did not lose enough fat. If you have a fatty liver and they need to move the liver on the side to remove your stomach, if it is too big, they will have to cancel your surgery. On top of that, you will be doing something called an upper GI. At least I think that's what most people do, but an upper GI is also the worst thing I have ever, I am telling you. You think the pain after the surgery was worse? Nope, the upper GI was the worst thing I had ever experienced in my life to prepare for getting the surgery. I can't even. So let's talk about the upper GI first, okay? The upper GI is a procedure that they have to do just to see the shape of your stomach. They need to make sure they could see where your stomach is. They need to see like how you digest and how you swallow. So you go into a procedure room or whatever, they don't cut you up or anything, but at least for my upper GI study, they made me drink something. It was really heavy. It was like wet cement, and you drink it, they could see through the x-ray, like, so it sticks to the inside. So the color of your esophagus and like your stomach and all of that is white. So that's how they could see it through the x-ray. I swallowed it and it was the worst. The texture, because it was so thick, was the worst. Next was the worst part. They make you drink Alka-Seltzer powder. So like it's to expand your stomach so that they could see like how big your stomach is. When you do that, you nearly faint. You either faint or you vomit. I felt everything. It was terrible. It's traumatic thinking that I had to do that. So my stomach like expanded. You can feel it. It's like drinking a bunch of soda. You know how you have to do like a really, really big burp? Well, get this. They tell you not to burp.
They tell you not to burp.
Okay, because then it inflates your stomach again and then you're gonna have to do it again. Literally had to swallow it. I nearly wanted to faint and throw up. You're allowed to breathe, but you just can't burp. Like breathe out. And I was like, oh my God, I have to burp. I have to throw up. I'm
gonna faint. I'm gonna pass out.
They're like, it's okay. Like everything's okay. Just breathe. Like you're allowed to breathe. They literally are like begging me, like, please hold it in so you don't have to do this again. I'm so sorry. Thinking about that whole situation is so funny to me because fuck, that shit was hard. They put me behind this wall and they take an x-ray of my stomach from the front, the side, the back, and the other side. That same platform that I'm standing on, it shifts. So it like shifts like this into a bed. You can feel your insides. You have to drink another thing. It's not as thick as the first, but it is kind of like a thick juice consistency. They make you, while you're laying down, you know, when you roll over in bed, you do that, but you do that 8 times. 8 times to make sure that your stomach is fully coated in that white liquid substance. I'm still feeling sick. I'm still needing the burp. They're not letting me burp. They record me swallowing. And from there, I was just like, the physical exhaustion that I had was ridiculous. I was halfway through the liquid diet, I believe a week prior to my surgery. After that, everything was fine, and they just let me know, like, if it goes out the other end and it's white or green, like, do not be alarmed. That's just because, yeah. So then comes the day before surgery. My mom stayed to kind of like help me out. My husband had duty the day prior, so he worked all day. And then he also had an underway that he had to go to. The thing is, my mom couldn't stay to help me out too long, is a live-in caregiver, and I don't have anybody to take care of me. So my husband was not able to go through his underway just because he did need to help take care of me, which I am so grateful with how the Navy has been very cooperative with our family and what our goals are, and they really do try to help out the families they could. My surgery was pretty difficult to undergo. I was very nervous. It was hard, especially because my biggest supporter, which was my husband, was not able to be there to calm my nerves and prepare me. Right before you go into admittance, because of COVID, they do have you take like a COVID test. They make sure that you're good to go, make sure you're not pregnant, do all the blood work that you need to do. After that, they took me into admittance, and my mom was waiting for me, and I had never been under anesthesia. So because I have sleep apnea, the anesthesia had to be through IV and not through a mask for anesthesia. From there, they had helped me calm my nerves, and one of the doctors was like, hey, do you have any questions about anesthesia, because the anesthesiologist is coming to talk to you a little bit about what to expect. So the anesthesiast came to talk to me. They asked me what I was nervous about. They explained to you how anesthesia works, which is super cool. I got my surgery done through Balboa Naval Medical Center in San Diego, but they were very informative, and my surgeon was Dr. Gabois, and he was also very, very informative and super helpful with keeping my nerves very calm before getting my surgery. The anesthesiast basically lets me know how anesthesia works. So studies that they do is making sure that you're either awake, kind of awake but asleep, deep sleep, and then deep, deep sleep. Because once you're like close to waking up, they don't want you to wake up mid-surgery. I'm so happy that that did not happen to me. Now, when I ended up going over how it works with the anesthesiast, then my surgeon comes and he kind of tells me like what they're going to do and not to be afraid. I was afraid. I've just never been through a crazy surgery before. Never in my life did I think I would even do it. Before they had pulled me in, after speaking to the surgeon, my anesthesiast's assistant comes and brings me anxiety pills, and she's like, here, let's give you 2 of these. It'll keep your nerves calm. You will no longer have like crazy anxiety, and you'll still be okay for surgery. So I was like, bet. I was high as shit. I was so high I fell asleep. I woke up to them coming up to me, and they're like, all right, Mrs. Walker, like, are you ready for your surgery? And I was like, yeah. I remember all of this happening. So my surgeon and his whole team, like, they're dragging the cart to the operating room, and I'm like looking up at the ceiling. All I see are just lights. Lights are like every time we entered a room, entered hallway, entered the elevator, it was all lights, okay? And all they're like asking me is like, are you excited? And I was like, yeah, I can't show it, but yeah, I'm really excited. They're like, you are gonna do amazing. Just like positive vibes. And you know, I fuck with positive vibes. That is all I know. I try to know, at least. So after that, I remember after we were in the elevator, we ended up on the operating floor, and it was so cold. The temperature dropped like we were in a whole nother country, okay? And I looked again, and this time there was a really, really bright light in front of me, and they're like, we're going to need you to move from one bed to the other. Remember, I am high as a kite, just not there anymore. They make me roll over into another bed, so I don't remember doing about,
I was just like, ah.
you know. And so they're like, wow, you're so strong, like you did so good. And I can just hear it, but I don't remember what they look like. None of that. So then I ended up laying in that bed, and there was a really bright like ring light in front of my face and a bunch of different lights, a big machine like in my face, but my vision was not as clear because I was gone. And all I remember them telling me was, all right, Miss Walker, like, are you ready to take a really, really good nap? Are you ready to take the best nap of your life? And I was like, yeah, like, I'm so ready. And they're like, all right, like, we're gonna see you when you wake up. Make sure you like have really good dreams or whatever it is, and we'll see you soon. When they say we'll see you soon, literally lights out. Obviously, I can't talk about what happened during surgery. I don't remember. I was deep asleep. I do remember waking up from my surgery. I remember them rolling me into my room, and my mom wasn't there. I was really sad because I didn't get to see my mom. I did see my husband, but I was so tired and like physically exhausted. I was in so much pain. I didn't even look at my husband to say hi. Just so happy he was there, but I couldn't express how happy I was. I will insert a video of me right here of me eating ice chips. I was eating ice chips because I was in a lot of pain, but I was also very hungry. I hadn't eaten at all. And because you're not supposed to, you're on a liquid diet and then you go straight into surgery. This was me eating ice chips.
What's it taste like, babe?
It's like Doritos.
I didn't see one.
Yeah.
They're so good.
I was starving. I was starving, okay? I was in so much pain. It felt like...
How do you feel, babe?
I feel like I have like severe cramps.
It felt like period cramps. Period cramps on steroids. I just could not believe the amount of stomach pain that I was having. It was the worst feeling after the upper GI study. Now, the whole time that I was just regretting everything. I was like, oh, why did I do this? What if it doesn't work? What if I don't lose weight? I was just so negative. I was just super stressed out, upset. I didn't believe that I even did it. My nurse, which was Nurse Manalo, I think she was a nurse. She's an ensign, but she was my head nurse. And she was the most amazing human being on the planet. Along with that was one of their other coworkers. He was super, super nice. What was his name? Perez, I think. Either way, if you guys see this video, I love you guys. You guys were the most supportive nurses and you guys really helped my recovery. That's probably why I was able to get out the next day. Normally when it does come to the surgery, they do try to keep you at most 3 days. So usually you're up and walking. Half of the first day I was resting all day. I just had to sleep. I was so tired. My husband was there. I was feeling a little bit better to talk to him. He had to go home because he had work again the next day. He went home, slept at home. He stayed as long as he could. So I think he stayed until like 2, 3 a.m. Just to be there and support me, make sure I was good until my nurses came back from their rest shift or whatever. So my nurses had me walk around and also try to have me drink waters. They give you little medicine cups of water and you have to sip them because you can't really just like chug them. They also make sure that you are able to use the restroom. So thank God I was blessed and my surgery went really well and I was up and healthy and just I was able to use the restroom, pee at least. I could not do number 2. So they really monitor you closely and just make sure everything's okay. They ask you whenever you're ready to start walking. I could just get up and walk whenever I wanted. I would walk to the bathroom by myself carrying like my, I think I have a video here of me walking with my IV and my Tylenol bags and stuff. So, and they were like, dude, like you're doing so good. Like you need to go home. You'll live fine, right? So I will insert a video of me coming home the first day. And I was so energized. Like after regretting getting the surgery, after getting out of the operating room versus like 2 days later, there was so many changes. My scars were pretty bad. I was able to walk around all the time. I even cleaned the house when I came home. I had so much energy. When I drank water because I was so thirsty, I totally forgot that I can't chug water. So that was terrible. That feeling was the worst. And even my husband was like,
You literally just got out of surgery. Like, why are you cleaning the house?
but it's like I had so much energy. I felt so good. It felt like I had never had a lick of alcohol in my life. I felt reborn, you know? It is a really good feeling. At my first exam after surgery, I was 217 pounds. So I had lost 10 pounds. I was like, or 11 pounds. And, you know, my doctor was kind of like, all right, like, that's really good. Like, you lost 20 pounds in 1 month. He asks about my diet. What am I eating? What am I doing? So I share a little bit of how I've changed my lifestyle. I did live actively. I was walking at least 10 to 30 minutes a day just to keep like my flow going. And after surgery, I believe a few days later, me and my husband had to drive up to Lake Tahoe. So we had to constantly stop because if I sat for too long, it can cause blood clots. I wanted to avoid that at all costs. After Truckee, I came home. I was about 200 and like pounds while I was in Truckee, and then when I came home I became like 207 pounds, and then like the weight and the pounds just started dropping every single day. But I was still intaking my protein, I was still being active, but my body was just in complete shock. You are not eating enough, like you are not eating what you used to eat. Right now I am kind of at a stall, which I'll share that with you guys a little bit after. I still continued being active, just not as active as I was, like weightlifting and all of that. And that stopped for about 2 months, but I was still walking my dog every day, or like walking around the streets where I was working. There were stairs, so I would rather take the stairs than the elevator sometimes. I was still doing my best to be active, just not as active than right after I got surgery. I probably could have maximized my weight loss a lot more. Although I did lose a lot of weight. I lost about 87 pounds. Overall, like when I started my weight loss journey, like right before, I'm now weighing 161. So regardless of all of that, if you are thinking of getting the surgery, right, I recommend it. If someone were to tell me like what I actually genuinely do regret, it would be not getting the surgery sooner, not moving faster to get the surgery. I got my surgery date like almost a year later because I couldn't finish the courses, or they had to constantly like reschedule my surgery date. Taking action, if that's something you want to do, just be healthier, then I would do it. I don't eat the same way I used to. I used to eat like a bag of chips in one sitting. Now I prefer eating popcorn that has no flavor to it. Like now I'll eat cheese sticks, and they are the most delicious and like fulfilling thing. And on top of that, they provide you with like nutrients that you need. So I know this whole conversation is just going off tangent. At the end of it, I really just wanted to share all of my feelings and thoughts on like getting the surgery, and kind of just share with you guys why you should get it too. If you have been sitting and thinking about it, ask yourself, like, why are you thinking about it? Why do you want to get the surgery? Why have you not moved forward with getting the surgery? Because that will allow you to understand where you want to be and what you truly want. And when you're able to combat the things that you want, and, you know, have a positive mindset on the life and the goals that you want to achieve, you will reach them. You will 100% reach them. I like manifesting the life and the future that you want is real as long as you take action and you allow yourself to reach those goals. My life after the surgery has been terrific. Honestly, there has been days where, you know, sometimes I'm not happy, and then some days I'm just like, I have really bad body dysmorphia where I feel like, oh my God, like I still look like my 250 pound self, and you will never unsee that. And you have to remind yourself that you will always remember looking like that, because that's who you were majority of your life. You will never be able to unsee it, but because of the fact that you can't unsee it, you will do your best to never go back to that. It will scare you when you overeat in a day. If you accidentally eat, you know, 100 calories over your daily expected calorie intake, then you get scared. You're like, oh my God, I'm gonna wake up the next day and I'm gonna gain a pound. That's okay. Your weight will fluctuate. You will be 1 pound heavier, 3 pounds lighter, 5 pounds heavier. Regardless of that, you have to remind yourself like why you want to do it and have that positive mindset. And I recommend going through therapy or counseling to help prepare you for that situation, to help prepare you for the mindset you should have, because it is a huge lifestyle change. Not only are you changing your diet, not only are you changing your physical lifestyle, because I'm sure most times people live a very sedentary lifestyle. And lastly, I want to make sure that you are combating your emotional health. If you are allowing yourself to be emotional and you choose to binge eat, that is something that you need to make sure you are able to overcome. You want to do everything you can prior to getting the surgery to prepare for it, because it is a huge shift. It is something where the people in your life have to change, your significant other has to change, or you would have to change a lot. Like, I have a very big family. We are very social and we eat out, we drink together all the time. And it sucks a lot because I have to watch what I eat and I have to watch what I drink, and I can no longer have seltzers or carbonated sodas for chasers or whatever it is, right? And this is just real stuff. This is real facts that you have to consider before getting the surgery. I would never change the decision I made for the world. A lot of people will tell you
chose the easy way out.
Or people won't support that you got the surgery. People won't even acknowledge that you got the surgery because God knows who. But at the end of the day, like, you need to understand that this is a journey you are taking. It is a journey that you are experiencing on your own, but you do have a huge VSG and bariatrics community that is there to support you all the way through. But you cannot rely on the same people that do support you every single day. You can't rely on them because they will never understand what you are going through. And you also cannot have the expectation of people understanding you, because they just won't understand unless they've been in the same situation. And like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, everybody's VSG journey is different. Everybody's weight loss journey is different, and not everyone will understand you. So that is something that I feel counseling and therapy will help prepare you for, is preparing yourself to have the positive mindset without looking for codependency or moral support from others, because you need to learn to support yourself. These are all just facts that I've experienced, and as I mentioned, every VSG and bariatrics journey is different. So everything I'm telling you right now might not even be your journey, but my advice would always be is changing your mindset. Your mindset should be the first thing that you combat, because our mindsets are the reason why we have habits. Our mindset is the reason why we run to food for comfort. Our mindset is the reason why we don't wake up to go to the gym or work out and be active that day. When you are able to understand your mindset, take action, and not allow it to affect your day-to-day, then I think you would be 100% ready to do it. Just make sure that that is something you work on, along with just your daily habits, which reverts back to mindset. I will be making another video sometime this week just to share a Q&A. I do just have a few questions. I think it's like about 5 or 6 questions that some people have asked me, whether it was through social media, in person, or anything like that. I would love to share that with you guys. I will link all of my social medias down below. My TikTok does solely focus on recipes and on VSG and just lifestyle. So if you guys would love to follow me on TikTok, feel free to do that as well. Usually if you are watching this video here, it is because you found me through TikTok, or you found me through like shares or whatever it is. But I really do hope that this video was informative and kind of, hopefully it wasn't all over the place. If it was, you know, leave a comment down below. Feel free to leave feedback. I am totally okay with that. I take bluntness very well. My husband is a Sagittarius, so he is very blunt. And yeah, so if you love this video, give it a thumbs up. Do feel free to subscribe for more VSG or bariatric content, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.